Why not? Why not give our classic intro for all of our fans who've been dying to hear from us? How long has it been since our last...
I don't even know.
I'm looking it up.
But, like, you know, sometimes I just like starting to talk, you know, instead of being 9 months ago.
9 months. There's been a baby of time in between our last podcast and this one.
Mm-hmm. There has been.
That's a whole baby.
And we've also morphed into the same person. Look at how much we look alike right now. We're dressed the same.
Highly recommend you watch on YouTube, but, you know, if you're listening to this.
Oh, yeah.
Only watchers would get it.
Yeah.
I am, like, resisting the urge to intro us right now.
I mean, go ahead.
We gotta... What's
our password? You have it somewhere. Oh my god, we look... I like having us up here just to make sure everything looks okay. I think we should keep doing it.
Or to make sure that I'm recording.
No,
Which one was it that I didn't record?
stucktogetherpod@gmail.
I forgot our email. We said it so many times.
Stucktogetherpod@gmail.
We used to say it so many times.
All right, everyone.
It is.
Okay. Nope. Oh, nope.
Okay.
No. Where is it? You have it. Sorry, guys. This is an awful way to open this, but we're trying to log into our email.
We want to see if anybody tried to get in
yeah.
touch
Sorry.
and
reply to them 9 months later. Listen, is there like... Oh, there we go. Nice.
Yep. Don't tell anybody my secret sauce, but you're seeing it right now.
Your Hotmail password is crazy. I'm not going to say it, obviously, but that's a crazy password.
Hey. Sometimes you just got to take in your surroundings and make up a password while you're working on your computer.
That's the most man password. Like, I can't even... Except the numbers. The numbers are very random.
See, that's how good I am at creating email.
All the Hey, congrats. Oh, that's February 12th. That random scammy guy.
Oh, we tried to get scammed. Did you see this?
No.
Oh, maybe I saw it.
Watch it like not be a scam. It could have been like some guy being like, "You're so talented."
Looks like he's just trying to get money from us.
Yeah. I didn't say he wasn't. I was just like, what if, you know?
What if nothing? Look, 9 months, nobody emailed us. All right,
wow,
that's on y'all.
That hurts.
Okay, can I intro us now?
If you want to.
It's too late now.
I just mean...
Is it too late?
I meant like I feel as it...
How do you feel?
I feel like when that music starts and I have to say hello, it changes me. It changes how I act.
So you're not natural if you have to do the intro.
Yes.
You're not feeling natural.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
so if we go from right now and you do the intro right now, it's going to be totally different Tori on the other side.
I feel that is the case.
Okay, what if I do a little intro?
Yeah, no, I mean, you can.
You can just...
Yeah, I'll just sit here.
Okay.
But can we keep in what was done before this?
Oh, we've already got 3 minutes worth of footage. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm okay with us like having a little intro and then being like, "Hey guys, welcome back."
Yeah, guys, welcome back. It's me, Tim, with Tori. We're stuck together. We've been stuck together the past 9 months, but we haven't been stuck with you, and we're sorry about that. Everyone we've known has said, "Where's the podcast?"
Literally every single person.
To which you probably heard me say, it takes a lot of work. And I don't care. I wanted to do a podcast, and Tori wanted to do a podcast, so we said, we're doing a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
No guarantee there's going to be another episode after this one.
That is not what we should say. But hey,
but we're back for now.
We're
back
for now, and yeah, I mean, everyone knows that being a podcaster is one of, if not the hardest job in the world. So So
Okay,
it
so-
just it's
We had stuff. Look, we had a lot of stuff going on this year.
We did.
I've taken like 5 flights this year.
we
for
went to Europe for the
business.
first time, both of us.
I've been on 3 work trips, and yes, we went to Europe for her cousin's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
We went to my sister's wedding in Tennessee. That was not in Europe. That was the Europe of the South. This was Nashville's. That's I don't know.
You're trying to steal my joke.
Which joke?
Remember my joke
No.
when
Oh
when
no!
your sister and
I
her
remember
husband,
that.
her now husband, were gonna honeymoon in Italy,
Yeah.
and everyone was like, "Oh, stuff going on in Europe," and I was like, "Hey, y'all, America is more dangerous than Europe right now," but that's whatever. I didn't say that. That's not the joke. That would
No.
suck. No, the joke was instead they decided to go to Montana for their honeymoon, and we were on the phone with his parents, and I was like, "You know what they say about Montana? It's the Italy of America," and it got a lot of laughs.
Your joke was so good, it seeded in my
It
mind,
did.
and I tried to use it again in front of you. And
Wow.
You called me out.
I
'cause
did.
That's what happened. That's
Yeah.
exactly what happened. So,
This kind of comedic genius doesn't happen.
my hilarious
day.
fiance, ladies and gentlemen,
Yay!
all her.
You're very funny too.
We're
just
a joy
we're
to be
some
around.
silly gooses. We're just the silliest geese in the pond, baby.
Well, I've been working on tons of stuff. I've been super busy in
Me
our
too.
downtime, regardless of work stuff and everything. I've been coding my video game,
Mm-hmm. Very
and
exciting.
I've been putting stuff up on my YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Been making videos on my YouTube channel, and what have you been up to? We've
Well-
been. Should we tell them about those over
yeah.
there?
Yeah, we got. Well, I don't want to. We're gonna get into a whole thing about snakes if we go there.
Yeah,
So I want to say what I'm doing first, and
Yep.
then we can talk about
Yep.
them because we
Absolutely.
both love the snakies. So I got a new job. I don't know if we've podcasted since then.
9 months, probably not.
9.
It would have been January.
Yeah, no, I got it. I started in February.
Yeah.
So I work
Yeah.
at a. How much information do I want to disclose? Not to like our families, but if any random is
What are you
listening.
talking about?
Oh, just like what if they find me?
What if who finds you? She doesn't work for the CIA or anything, guys. She doesn't work for any underground organizations. What are you talking about?
That sounded really ominous. I just mean anyone.
Please, no one try to find Tori.
Okay, no, okay, they know where we live, kind of. And once I say the type of work I do, there's only like a couple places that could be.
Okay.
What if like someone's hey, no. Okay. We haven't
She
done
got a
this in
new
minute.
job, guys.
I got a new job. I work at a place that does taxidermy and general oddities. We've got a lot of insects. We've got a lot of wet specimens, like those freaky ones in the jars. Lots of taxidermy. I just am surrounded by dead things all day, and I forget a lot of the time that they are dead things. I eat my lunch every day next to taxidermied squids and other snakes and bugs and creepy crawlies. Creepy crawlies is a good one. Critters and creepy crawlies. So that's been great. I love my job. It's been awesome. No complaints. And I got a graphic design like brand gig thing going on right now. Designing some logos for a company.
Some freelance stuff.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think those are the main things I'm doing right now.
That's great. It's great
Yeah.
stuff.
And then of course our joint project of the snakes
And the podcast.
and the podcast,
Which we haven't been doing. But we've been, look, okay, before we get into the snakes, we talk about the podcast pretty frequently.
We do.
And,
We do.
we've just the timing and everything just hasn't been there, and we really appreciate all the fans and everything because y'all been asking. So this is gonna be a really informal, just fun podcast this time. But
yeah, we're kind of trying to figure out what we want to do moving forward with like movies and stuff like that, and like watching movies. I really want to watch Twilight because Tim has never seen Twilight
on purpose.
So, and I want to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be very funny, very silly. We could watch it live on the podcast.
I don't know.
We would have to cut it and edit it. But
yeah,
I want your genuine reaction to some of the things that happen in these movies, especially the first one.
Okay.
There's some cringe moments for sure.
Okay.
We'll iron out the details.
Yeah, we will definitely get those details ironed out. She said
I don't think he wants to at all.
Well,
but I want
she
to.
said that I could make her watch John Wick or another movie franchise of my choosing after I've paid my dues. So, yeah, we'll see about that. We watched a lot of...
We watched so much
We haven't stopped
stuff.
watching things. That's the thing. Is that's still something we love to do and talk about and analyze and have fun with and whatever. I listed a bunch on when I was texting you today. We've watched...
Yeah.
We
watched the entirety of Seinfeld.
The entirety of Dexter.
The entirety of Dexter, yes.
Which, not the new shit, but...
We just finished watching season 2 of Yellow Jackets.
Which is all that's out yet so far.
Yeah. Season 3 is like about to come out, I think. We've watched lots of movies. Some good, some pretty bad.
Some pretty bad movies. There was a time where I was like, could we just pick something we know is...
It was really bad. And
good.
it got to the
Heard is
point
good.
where we watched a movie and it was really bad. And we were like, what the hell? Because it was marketed as a sci-fi thriller or something.
Are you talking about I Saw the TV Glow?
Yeah, it was not that. And
it was
I have all
so
kinds of
weird.
thoughts on that movie, but we both were like, oh my God, we need to watch something like really good. And I was like, you know what? Like, I had been meaning to show you Scream for so long. And we watched it that night. Like, after we had watched I Saw the TV Glow, I was like, this is a great movie. It's satirical, but it has a really good resolution. It has a really good story, like a really good arc and everything.
Yeah.
And it like, I feel like it did, it wasn't, we were looking for a movie that neither of us had seen that was like good.
Mm-hmm.
But since we hadn't been able to find that for so long, I was like, I'll take one for the team. I've already seen this, but I would watch it again and again. It's so good.
Well, and apparently they're all... they're still making them, so they gotta be good. But, we, like, needed a palate cleanser after I saw the TV Glow almost, because it was just, like...
Yeah.
So disappointing. And it was like, what did we just spend our time on? What did we just do? There didn't have, like... There were redeeming moments in the movie, but... So then, it was the first time I watched Scream, which... I can see why it's a classic. Totally great. But then we did get a good one when we watched Bullet Train.
Oh, man, yeah. Neither of us had seen it. Yeah. It was awesome. I really liked that movie.
A lot of other cool actors who
Very
aren't as well known that were all amazing. Every actor in that movie was insane.
Yeah.
And just and part of what I loved about that movie too, gore warning for anyone who... it's rated R. It's like really graphic and violent.
Really graphic and
it's
bloody.
about like assassins and hired killers, and everyone's trying to kill each other.
Yeah,
but
but it's also very funny.
It's hilarious.
I highly recommend if you're okay with gore.
Amazing. It was so good. I would give it such a high score. I would highly recommend it. But we'll spend a whole movie, and these people are like too afraid to like actually give it a real ending, because if it's like, well, if they end up happily together, like we can't do that because every movie does that, and we can't just kill them off because everybody kills them off. And they're like, we've watched so many movies where it's like, just pick one, like fucking pick one. Like, your movie doesn't actually have an ending, and that was a waste of my time because you were trying so hard to subvert expectations or like break the mold or this or that. And it's like, I get being experimental. I totally understand that, but it just like it's like it feels like maybe movies and visual entertainment is like getting kind of stale because people are like too afraid to do something old or like I don't even know. But Bullet Train was like 5 movies in one. Like
was
there
crazy.
was a whole like almost 5 to 10 minute section where with the wolf where they like did this whole guy's backstory. Like, and it could have been an entire movie. It was so well done that they just did his one backstory, and then they like show him again, and then he dies, and then that's it. That's the end of that storyline.
Yeah,
And so it's like they just finish it up, subvert your expectations, make a joke out of it, and keep moving. Like it's just amazing the way that they like just quickly flew through everything, and it was like so expertly done, and like. Any sort of twists that they did, I genuinely didn't even really see them coming, and like
oh my god, anytime we talk about Bullet Train, the main thing that comes to mind is, I mean, spoilers, duh, but
we always spoil movies here.
when the big plush like character
Yeah.
and when he like takes the briefcase or something, this like big plush mascot or whatever, and Brad Pitt like punches him in the face and it like does like a squeak sound effect as he does it, and that sounds really weird just describing it, but I promise you it is really funny. And then you find out later that is like that mascot is like an integral part of the story. So it was very silly.
So many twists and turns, so many like really cool timing gimmicks, and you know, just like they took care of everything you wanted, and the ending was like great. Like it was like one of the options. It's like
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing is like some of these movies, it's like you didn't pick any of the options. There was nothing.
Yeah, being predictable is very okay if it's a good story. Like it really is, especially at this point, because people tried so hard to subvert expectations that sometimes it's like, cool, like yeah, I could totally see them being the killer, but I'm okay with that because everything's wrapped up nicely, you know, it's fine,
right?
Like not everything needs to be like, I feel like everyone wants their stories to have a crazy twist or something, but a lot of people aren't capable of doing that well, and so it just ends up being kind of like muddy and weird and like just not a satisfying twist, because you were like, okay, like
you're like, wow, there was no sign.
Yeah,
I couldn't have figured that out.
Like,
this doesn't make sense, but cool. Like,
yeah, it's just like they want a twist, but yeah, don't really know how to like properly reveal things over time, or you know, whatever. Like Scream is a perfect example of a great story where it I gotta say, most people the first time watching it don't expect that.
Yeah, no, I didn't. It was like so well done.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, it's like because most like murder mysteries, I'm always like, yeah, it's probably just the maid. Like, I don't know, like I'm not the best at trying to figure out exactly who's doing what. But we've done that with a few sort of like whodunits where we'll like the last episode of the series we'll pause, or like we'll kind of pause and see like, all right, what do you think? What do you know, and then go from there. But and we watched all of Star Wars in that time too.
Yeah, really quick, just before we get off that topic of like really good, almost like red herring stories, kind of like whodunit, whatever. If you love stuff like that and you love kind of like being taken on this journey and like kind of being subverted a few times, I highly recommend the series Clickbait. I hate the title. I think it's such a stupid title. I mean, no hate to the actual thing, because it's an amazing.
Watch that.
Yeah, I had watched it, and then like a couple, like I had just seen it, and I was like, we need to watch this because it was so good. It was like right before we started dating, I think, that I had watched it.
Yeah,
and I was like, I will watch it again right now. Because yeah, it is a great story. You have no clue what's going on, like in the best way possible. And yeah, the only thing corny about it is the title. I don't know why they picked Clickbait. Very, very weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really good. I don't even want to like say the premise. Just go check it out if you haven't checked it out. If you have checked it out, you know what I'm talking about. I feel like it didn't get as much credit as it deserved. I didn't see a lot about it when it came out. So yeah, love it. Recommend it.
Yeah, we watched all
Star Wars.
all six of the real Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
You watched any of those?
Have we also watched all of Lord of the Rings in this 9-month period?
I think we did, because I was like, this. You have to know this because this is like pinnacle epic fantasy.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, so I had never watched any Lord of the Rings before.
Which you liked.
I really liked, and you had never watched Harry Potter before.
Oh, we watched all the Harry
And
Potters
so,
as well.
can you tell we like watching stuff and
We
like
don't need you guys
binge
to watch
watching
movies,
stuff?
right? But that's why we made
yeah.
the topic of the
Yeah.
podcast, because we do it so much. We love them so much.
It felt kind of cool that like we started with Harry Potter that you had never seen, then we went to Lord of the Rings that I had never seen, and we both were kind of like, I don't really. Like there's a lot of hype around this fandom. I don't really know like what's going on with it, you know, and the other one's like, you gotta see it.
Yeah.
And then like almost finishing that off with watching all of Star Wars that we both have seen. But like watching again as adults, because like
especially the episode 1, 2, and 3 Phantom Menace, the Attack of the Clones, those, because like, I don't know, we talked about this a lot as we were going through it, but the OGs and the effects that they did in the original 3 movies were like, they look so good still because of the way that they did them. It's not like corny.
I love practical
CGI.
effects, dude. They're the best.
They're so awesome, and the story obviously is so amazing. So duh, they're great. And then,
I wish I could have been around and see that reveal in theaters or something.
well, we learned.
My
I don't know
God.
how many of you guys know this, but we learned. I think I told you this. Maybe I don't know, but when they were filming, which one is the one with the Lord Vader reveal? Is it the 5th movie? Number 5?
Yeah, technically, if we're going by like
Revenge of the
time,
Sith?
the reveal is in the like if we're going off of the year it was released, it was the second one at the very end.
Right,
But
so
technically
episode
the
5,
5th. Yeah,
Revenge
episode
of the
5.
Sith,
Yeah,
right?
and then it goes. Yeah, it's like
And
right at the
then-
end it's revealed.
Right, and so apparently while they were filming, no one in the whole entire cast knew that the line is actually, Luke, I am your father. And the only people who knew were Mark, Luke Skywalker, what's his name? Mark Hamill?
Yeah, Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill and whoever was in the suit for Darth Vader, I think, because they needed to actually like show the emotion.
Yeah.
And so when they were screening the actual movie with the actors, like Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, can't think of anybody's name right now. They were all like, wait, what? Because when he said, I am your father, they thought he said, I killed your father.
Yeah.
It's like, no, Luke,
No
I
one
killed
knew.
your father. That's what it said in everyone's script. So it was like a reveal to the cast.
Yeah.
Once the movie
That's
was
crazy.
done, that he actually was like we're talking greatest movie reveal of all time.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd say the only, like, I am lucky in the sense that obviously that was spoiled because, hello, I mean, if you weren't there, it was spoiled for you pretty much right after. And the funny part was that a lot of people, like, we've learned too that a lot of people were in denial. Like,
Right.
after that movie, they were like, oh no,
Yeah.
Darth Vader's lying. Like, he's
Yeah.
lying. There's
No,
no
there's
way.
no way.
No,
That's not
he
true.
can't. No. Like, people were like distraught over it, you know?
Yeah.
But I hadn't read. Oh God, I gotta sneeze. I hadn't read any of the later Harry Potter books, and so I didn't know what was gonna happen. And I remember being in the theater with my dad when we found out that Harry was the last Horcrux, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like that's probably the closest I'll ever get to a Luke, I am your father moment.
Yeah.
Where it was like so devastating and also like such a good reveal, and like you just like you don't even expect that at all, you know, like you really
Well,
don't.
And like it just makes me think of like we were talking about with stories, like there's so many people who drop the ball nowadays because they're trying to be too crazy. They're trying to be like M. Night Shyamalan to the 14th degree.
Yeah.
And it's like you were saying, it's like, yeah, it's like as long as like those George Lucas has even said that Star Wars is like, it's not lightsabers in sci-fi. It's a story about a dad and his son,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's what he made it. And then it just happens to be a space opera at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing is like I feel like there's so many movies where they're like, we have one cool idea that we really want to run with, and it's like, yeah, but who's in the who's in the story, and what's, you know,
Like, why should I care about them? And like, you know,
Exactly.
yeah, what
And
kind of
so-
a person are they?
and that's the thing is like it's yeah, which I love conceptual stuff. The first half when I saw the TV Glow, I was in, you know.
Oh my
like,
god, yeah. It's beautifully shot. I mean, the TV show within the movie, it doesn't even look like a TV show from the 90s. Like, I had beef with that. It looked really corny and kind of weird. I don't know if that's the vibe they were going for, but it took me out of it.
before or after him being an adult?
Before.
Well, I
Even-
mean,
it
you
just-
could explain that.
It took
for a
me
few
out of
ways,
it.
but-
I didn't prefer it aesthetically if it was just supposed to be taken seriously. But besides that, a lot of the graphics were really cool, and it was setting itself up to be extremely creepy.
It was awesome. Like there were so many things about it that the way the visuals, the graphics, like I didn't mind it being a little over the top. There's like at least 2 long form monologues in the movie.
Oh my god.
And like not the worst thing ever, but like it just, you started to lose track of what's happening, and it was one of those things where it was like, okay, are we in reality? Are we in the TV show? Are we here? Are we there? And then the movie ends and you're like, that
It ended so abruptly.
okay, cool. Gonna try and not think about that because what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Like there was such potential, and it was like, you know, sometimes you gotta make it a little more obvious, you know, what you're doing.
Yeah,
Like-
well, and I know that, and I got the vibe of it, and I didn't want to assume, but I know that it's like a trans story, and it's kind of just a commentary on like the trans experience and stuff like that. But at the same time, it didn't come across that way in a lot of ways, and like, I don't know. I don't have problems at all with stories where people are using either sci-fi or fantasy or whatever, because I mean, pretty much every sci-fi and fantasy story is like most likely a projection of the writer, you know, kind of dealing with their own stuff that's happened in their life, you know. But it felt far too abstract, and yeah, just I don't know. So I would say, I hate to say it because I know that it's like the director was really trying to like capture what it felt like growing up as a trans person, but it did not come across that way. I think it fell really flat in that regard.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't recommend. It was not very satisfying at all.
I mean, I couldn't even tell it was. I don't know how you picked it up, honestly. I mean, looking back right after, and you said that, I was like, oh, I could kind of see that. If it's a fucking trans movie, make it a fucking make it about your experience. Like, but it was, that's my beef with it. It was like, what is going on?
Well, that's
Like,
the
I
thing
don't know
is
anything that's going on here.
I didn't want to assume because the time where I started to pick up on it was when the male actor, who in life identifies as male and stuff, he's supposed to be male, you know, whatever. There's like one very short clip of him with his like friend in this movie where he puts on a dress. But it's like at this point in the, it's so much to explain.
So
But I saw that and I was like, is this a trans experience movie? Like kind of like, you can argue like The Matrix is, stuff like that. I was like, oh, is that? But I also was like, wait, or is it just like my prejudice that like, oh, men can't wear dresses? Like, it was kind of like that where like I didn't want to assume that like gender binary, essentially, of like,
I mean,
if a man wears a dress, it has to mean he wants to be a woman, you know?
well, that's the thing.
Like, I didn't want to assume that either.
But there's no context. There's literally, it's them it's a fucking shot of him in a dress.
It was
and he
very
just is staring at her, and she's staring at him, and then they go do something else.
Yeah.
It's like, that was supposed to mean that this is about being trans. Like,
Yeah.
lay it out. I don't even fucking care. Like,
It's okay.
it's like, the thing is like, you in I don't know what the whole point of the movie was because the other thing about the him being in a dress was in the TV show is two girls. They're the main protagonists. And in real life, or the people we're watching in the movie, it's a boy and a girl, and they hang out and they watch the TV show. And then she starts telling him, the TV show's real. We're in the fake world. We have to get to the TV world where there's two girls. So like, if this is some sci-fi adventure where they have to make it out of the inner dimension to their real place where the TV show's real, then yeah, well, he's a girl and she's a girl on the other side. So like, that's not like has to be like a trans thing if I'm just going straight sci-fi. But that was the thing, is like, what genre is this? Is this horror? Is this sci-fi? Is this like, the whole movie was like, how about a little bit of everything with no answers? Like,
yeah, it was very odd. And like, I do think that there is value in creating stories that help people that, you know, it's not just about helping people who haven't experienced like gender dysphoria or anything, but I do think that if you're trying to share your experience, and you want people who haven't experienced that to understand, it does need to be a little bit more straightforward. And like, there can be ways that like you use fantasy or sci-fi to convey what you felt in your real life to have people like understand that have never been through it before. Like there are ways to go about that. And kind of to like equate it to like, hey, this is how I feel, like imagine it like this. I don't know. Most of the movie, I don't even think it's really worth talking about. It like,
yeah,
it even without all the commentary, even without a deeper meaning, it just like, it fell super flat.
it was really
It was
flat.
not good.
And on the last thing I'll say about it is that if you know that the whole like point of the movie was to kind of illustrate the writer director's like trans experience, looking back at the movie or watching the movie again, you might be like, oh, I could see that. But like, you shouldn't need like a guidebook to understand a movie. Like, you shouldn't need like prior or post information to like understand what the story was trying to tell you. So like, you know, I think that person is like really early in their career too. I would love to see them keep going and see where they get, because there was a lot of stuff about that movie that was good, but the story was not one of them. So hopefully they keep going and making some cool stuff, and I'd love to see them do a lot better. But and then we watched Gladiator recently.
Yeah, we just watched that like 2 nights ago or something.
Which, because we were looking for something, and I save a bunch of random movies on Hulu, and we go through, and I'm like, baby, what about Ninja Assassin? And she's like, stop. And
Stop.
and we had been like through so many movie things. I was like, Gladiator? I've never seen it. It's supposed to be a classic. And she hadn't either, so.
Yeah. I was like, sure, why not? Sounded pretty good.
And it was
then within that movie, we realized that like I think I've never really like many things that I have a lot of knowledge about. I've got a lot of knowledge about Rome, and it all was coming out. And I think he was like, where is this coming from? I was like, I don't know. I forgot it was in there. I mean, I don't like, it's not one of my like special interests or anything anymore, but
she just started yapping about Rome. She was like, you know what? I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, well, because I knew a lot about it, because there was the whole thing with like Joaquin Phoenix's character being all nervous about his dad declaring an emperor, and I was like, that's because the emperor is not like in, you know, British royalty where it has to be your like heir, like your blood heir, like son or daughter. It can be anyone. Like if you have an apprentice that you think would be a better emperor, you can just pick them. And so it wasn't like it wasn't you could essentially like adopt them and they would become emperor. So that was like a huge beginning establishing point.
There were a couple things.
And a lot of the Colosseum stuff, a lot of the gladiator stuff, I was kind of like, yeah, like, because they brought out tigers at one point. I was like, yeah, the amount that more animals probably died in the Colosseum than people did. Like it was brutal, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just when Commodus fights Maximus at the end, it was just like, I don't think any real emperor would have ever done that. But
yeah.
Cool movie. It was cool. It was a really cool movie. And again,
it was great.
they hit the plot points, all right?
Yeah.
Call it predictable, call it whatever. They hit the plot points, you get the payoff at the end. That's what you need, guys. I don't care how you get there, that's what you need. So
Well, and I know like
I'd rather take historical inaccuracy and a good story,
it was
all right?
a great story. Yeah, and I know Maximus is supposed to be like I kept focusing on Commodus's outfits and just how like I don't know, there was something like Joaquin Phoenix played that character so well, and especially in that like final fight scene I was like, he looks fresh as hell. He's in like all white, and the whole movie he's got this like kind of sultry like reddish black eyeshadow on that like is supposed to just look like his eyes are like really hollowed out, which was a really nice touch. I feel like it helped him kind of look more, I mean, just sinister in general, but he was also funny too. Like you could tell he was just kind of like a spoiled brat kid. And like when he was like talking about Maximus, he was like, he's vexing me. I'm vexed. Like just kind of silly. But yeah, he's like this child, but he's also like pretty evil and stuff. But yeah, his outfits were top notch.
Amazing.
They were so good.
And there was a lot of really cool moments about Roman life where they wear really fresh Roman clothes with the really nice designs on them, and everything like looks bright, and everybody's like, you think about a lot of people in history like as like statues, but like sometimes you got to remember like they were living their life and going crazy and eating food and hanging out and watching people die or whatever. Like, so like sometimes seeing some of the Romans in the streets and like, you know, at some like at one of them it looked like they were almost at like a little restaurant, and one of the senators comes up to the other one and sits down like you know, he's having his meal at like a almost like a restaurant.
Like a
and I was
cafe.
like, that's like duh, yeah, of course that would be like how that was. And maybe that was one of the apparently one of the historians who they hired to work on the movie quit because he was like, I can't take this anymore. So maybe that was,
which I could definitely see from some of the stuff I know. I was like, yeah, like
but that's at the same time too, there's whether or not that's historically accurate or whatever. I think we always think that people are like really, really different from us or whatever,
right?
But you know, around the world and throughout history, like humans are pretty much humans. Like we you know, the technology might change, but like we're still here, we're still doing stuff together, and you know, we're all people. We're just living in different times and different phases. So
yeah,
but Gladiator was cool.
Yeah, it's always fun with historical stuff when you like learn that they did something, or you see like a old book or old writings or something, or even like in more modern times, like, you know, a photograph or like video of someone, and like you're just like, oh yeah, like that's like exactly what we do. Because yeah, it's like really not that different, you know? I mean, there's definitely some cultural stuff and just kind of circumstantial stuff, but at the end of the day, it's like humans have kind of the same core motivations. And like the weirdest thing to me to think about is that people have been like goofing around forever. Like there's always been a sense of like comedy and like being silly. Like that, for some reason, that is really hard for me to grasp over everything else. Because like you hear about the wars, you hear about the artists, and you hear about the music, and you hear about all this really serious politics and just like all this really serious stuff. But then you see like that in caves they were like drawing penises everywhere and like stuff like that, you know, or like had their own like funny like version of comics or something where it's like, oh yeah, humans have always been funny. You know, you just don't really like see that as much as the like serious art and all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. A great point, because that's and we pick who's important throughout history, right? Like the victor writes the history or whatever too. You know, there's all that stuff, but you know, shout out to my regular people throughout history just holding it down, vibing. Dude. You guys are all the reason we're actually here, all right?
Yeah.
So
that I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
That I'm like, man, somehow, and this is not even remotely a unique thought, so like sorry, I just have been thinking about it a lot lately of like
like
you know
Rome.
like Rome. Yeah. I hate that phrase, this is my Roman Empire. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, just I fucking hate it.
You're on too much social media.
All this slang and shit just pisses me off.
I ain't never heard that.
Ugh, it's cringe, bro. Yeah, just like that all of my ancestors somehow survived, you know, for me to be here, which again sounds obvious, but like think of how many people died before they could have children. You know, think of how many people died as children, you know, or in war, like in battle, or, you know, just from hunger or just anything. And to think that like they all survived so that somehow I'm here and somehow you're here and somehow we're here.
I think my somehow sounded a little more, in disbelief. You're like, and somehow you're here. I don't know about that, but...
Sorry, I meant that in the sense of somehow I'm here and somehow, like, we're connected right now.
Yeah.
You know, that seems crazy. But yeah, that is funny. Somehow I'm here and somehow... You're here too, I guess. Less believable. No, it's wild. It's so crazy. I know it seems obvious.
Human history,
but
you know?
when you really think about it, it's like that's so many generations of people.
That's crazy.
We're all connected, bro.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
But we're here.
Yeah.
We're back with another Stuck Together podcast episode for everybody because it's been too long. So
yeah.
Now we just talked about all the movies we watched over break. So
that's not even all. We watched so much stuff.
More.
Also, fuck the ending of Dexter. I have watched Dexter multiple times, and I showed it to him for the first time. And I love Dexter so much. I really do, and I have for many, many years. But that I kept telling him, and I didn't want to overhype it too much, and I didn't want to ruin the watching experience, but I did bring up the ending quite a few times. I didn't tell him what it was, but I was like, it's disappointing.
I don't know if you could.
It sours the entire show, which sucks so bad.
It's just, again, pick a real ending.
It was so bad.
Pick a real ending.
Anyone who's seen Dexter, I always like to say, watch to the end of season 4 and then just stop. I feel like the end of season 4 would have been a great ending. Honestly, I don't even want to, like, spoiler alert, sirens, please, if you even remotely want to watch Dexter, do not listen to what I have to say. Okay. Just, I think if you ended it at season 4, that ending with, you think everything's going to be okay, and then Rita's dead, and Harrison, Dexter's son, is in the blood, just like Dexter was, you know, quote unquote, born in blood, and him taking him out and carrying him out. I feel like that's all you need. That was so impactful.
They could have ended it there.
I didn't watch, and I've heard a lot of people say this, that they didn't watch Wexter. They didn't watch Dexter.
Wexter.
They didn't watch. They didn't come back to it, especially once you're streaming it after. But like they didn't come back to it for at least a week because they were grieving that episode. Like,
oh yeah.
And I know that night, like we finished it. You were like, I was like, it was the last episode of season 4, and like it was pretty late at night already, and you were like, let's finish it, and I was like, all right. And I remember you were just laying in bed, just looking up, and you were like, I'm sad. Like, you're like, I'm really sad. I was like, yeah. I know. It's like probably the saddest I've been about a TV show, like ever. I just felt sick.
Well, and after the seasons after, like, I felt like season 5 was pretty good.
They're pretty good.
Season 6 and 7 weren't as good, but they were still good, and they still covered some topics and themes that were like, you know, important to Dexter and his character development. But season 8, or is it season 8? Yeah, season.
Just the last
5,
one.
6,
are you talking about?
8. Yeah, it's 8 seasons, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, the last season's just like, it's just a slap in the face because they did so much character development for him, and then it's just like, wait, what? What did you just do to me? And because I read some stuff that was like, the directors were saying like, oh, we really wanted this to happen and this to happen. And it's like, for how long? Like, if the characters are taking you somewhere, like, let them go where they need to go, dude. Like, and it just felt like somehow forced and also not finished. Like it was like just so disappointing.
Yeah, and I want to know whose decision it was to make Deb fall in love with Dexter. And I think they need to pay for their crimes against humanity. What the fuck were they thinking? Now that I have watched it multiple times, I remember loving their relationship throughout all of the seasons leading up to that. They were such a good duo. It was such a good, like, the fact that she didn't know everything about him. I feel like, and he said, I don't have any feelings, but if I did have them, they would be for Deb. That's so cute. I love that. Mm-hmm. And God forbid siblings just like love each other in a wholesome way. Mm-hmm. You know, why did they have to make it weird just because he was adopted? Like, I really hate that, and it
don't look at me. I don't know.
It taints the rewatch experience because you just know, like, oh, yeah, she's gonna fall in love with him, and she's loved him probably this whole time, you know, because like her therapist like pulled that out of her. It just ew. We don't need that. We don't need that. Their relationship was amazing as is, and it just maybe they thought like if she was in love with him, she like would be less likely to, like, you know, arrest him once she found out who he was. But, like, I would argue that a sibling bond or a best friend, like, ride or die bond, family bonds can be far stronger than a bond with your significant other or someone that you romantically love. You know? Like, if you've been that close your whole life, I don't think they needed to do that to justify her not, you know, taking him in to, like, you know, charge him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care.
It was really bad.
That's post season 4.
That's the whole thing, is it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't, because it doesn't even go anywhere. That's the worst part too. I mean, thank God it didn't go anywhere, but you know what I mean?
Watching them all pointless. Like back to back to back to back, there starts to be certain things where it feels like they're grasping at straws, and like by season 8 it just like all falls apart
so bad. Like
the seasons 1 through 4 are like all great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, not with me, maybe not with Miguel.
Wait, was that season 3 with Miguel? I don't know about that.
Miguel's a little.
What did he say?
But it's still better than, I think it's still better than all of the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, who allowed Miguel to, when they're on the roof, Miguel goes, "You don't want to fuck with me," or what did he? Yeah, if you fuck with me, I'll fuck you back in ways you can't even imagine. I'm like,
yeah,
don't say it like that.
We don't talk about Miguel.
Miguel was so weird.
Although it was like, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of little things in a lot of the later seasons I can like. There are certain things I can get behind where they were pretty cool and this or that, but you know, first 4 seasons were just. But they also just went like so fast.
Yeah.
Like season 1's beyond crazy. That could have been like the whole show was leading up to season 1.
Season 1 and then season 2. Like I forgot that whole Doak storyline happened in season 2.
Oh yeah.
I totally spaced that it happened that quick.
Well, and they're on to him in season 2. Like we just learned who Dexter was in 1 season.
Yeah.
And now the cops are like, "We got him." And you're like, "What the fuck?"
We found his dumping ground. It's like, "Wait, we could have done this earlier or later." Like,
well, I feel like with Dexter, it's one of those cases of like, the show's making money, we got to keep going.
True.
And they were doing their job and doing insanely well until season 4, and then I think it was like, oh shit, wait, what do we do now? And then they had a chance to like the last 4 seasons would have been fine if, like, we've talked about it so many times, like even the last episode of season 8, if that one episode was different, the whole show would be fine.
Dude.
The whole show would basically be fine.
Yeah.
There's like,
honestly, those last couple, honestly, I would have been much more happy if we just never flashed for those like 5 seconds to see where Dexter ended up. even just cut
I mean,
that
that's
off.
one of the many options that they
I
could have
wish
picked
I would have.
that they
Oh
did not
God,
pick, that are just
hate
so
it.
fucking dumb.
I'm really scared to. I have to watch the sequels. Like I have to. I'm scared though.
Shit, I don't.
If you don't want to, that's cool. But I'm going to. I gotta.
Also, I don't know. It's like, I feel like even then, from what I've heard, they're really not that great anyway. But
Yeah, they're not gonna be good.
That's the other thing is like I saw an article that was like Dexter had 2 chances to have a great finale and they fucked both of them. And it's like,
Yeah.
just stop. We're already traumatized enough. I don't want to watch the next one.
Yeah, I'd say my rule of thumb generally, unless I'm prepared for it not to be good. Like, there are some things where I'll watch the sequel just cause, and I'm like, nah, I know it's not going to be good. But unless something is known for its sequel, do not watch the sequel or read the sequel or anything of a sequel unless something is known for it. Like Star Wars, for example. Star Wars is a great one. Some people have a lot of beef with the prequels. I love them. I love them so much.
I don't know if that's totally fair. I think you're just taking a chance because because normally when someone makes the first thing, they could have been sitting on the story for a really long time. If it's their first book, they might have been, waiting a long time. If it's like, the first time the show's really come out, it's like, if it's really good, it's really good. But then the thing is like, if you don't have a plan, that's where it all goes to shit. Like if you try to make a second season or second movie because you're like, it's making money, everybody wants us to make more money, so let's do another one. It's like, okay, that's gonna suck. But if you have a plan, if you, I think George Lucas wrote out all this, he wrote them all out. Like he had all of them. He was like, this is what we're doing. I have a story. This is the story. It's like, okay, great, perfect. Because if you just like keep going because it's doing well, it's like if you don't have a plan, especially with stories, like there's a lot of other things where like, if something's going well, yeah, sure, just keep going. Like that's cool. Like, but trying to come up with stories that like aren't well thought out. I mean, and Star Wars is a perfect example of that as well, with all the bastard fucking Disney movies that don't count because like it's like, okay, well, you just bought maybe the most popular franchise in the world and then totally took a huge fat fucking dump on it because
so bad.
No one understood the fucking plot. Everyone lost the plot. Everyone lost their marbles. And what the fuck was that? Like, thanks, no thanks. You just ruined
It's
like
so bad. I can't even bring myself to speak on them because they're so bad.
It's
like
horrific.
they're not even worth my breath to speak on. They suck.
It's so bad.
It's so disappointing, especially like watching all of the older ones again. It felt very bittersweet because I was like, I know like what happens to this franchise.
Yeah.
Like I know what's and I like to think that they don't even exist, but it's still hard to be like, wow, we're probably never going to get this quality from Star Wars ever again. I think that's what I feel is like there are so many, especially with Star Wars in particular, there is such a world built. There's so many stories. There's so many different avenues you can take, and they're all canon. They're all in universe, and they just chose not to use them.
Well, that's literally the worst part about all of it is not only, like you said, there's books, miniseries, they're like you said, they're canon. There are tons of stories in the Star Wars universe that people like.
There
that
are
people
like books
understand,
on every Sith
that are
Lord.
like, it's just like any other fandom. People know these stories and they fit in with the universe, and it's all awesome. And they could have done any of those, or the fact that George Lucas wrote those 3 fucking movies out for them and handed them to them and said, here's the movies if you guys want them. And they were like, nah, we're going to go do whatever the fuck that was. Like, can we just like they'd never do it because of money, but I would love for them to just come out and be like, we're sorry guys, those movies don't count. We're taking those back.
Taking them back.
We apologize publicly. We didn't mean to do that. We didn't understand what we were doing because we have too much money. So we're just idiots. We're gonna take those movies off the shelves. You'll never be able to stream them again. They're gonna get bootlegged, whatever. That's fine. But we're gonna take them all down, and we're gonna say that did not happen. We're gonna give it back to George Lucas. I don't know. They shouldn't have it. Like,
yeah,
they
no,
clearly
they
don't
shouldn't.
deserve it.
I remember where I was when I found out that Lucasfilms was being sold to Disney. I was younger. I was in the bar that my family hung out in all the time. And I remember seeing it on the TV, and like I was probably like 12 or something. Like I was pretty young. And even at that time, I knew, I was like, this is a mistake. This is so bad. They're going to ruin it. Like they're going to ruin Star. And I'm not even that big of a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Like I just knew. I was like, this is not good. Because especially because of how dark Star Wars can be, especially with those other stories that they haven't made movies about. I'm like, you just ruined the potential for any graphic Star Wars story to ever happen again.
I almost thought that they tried to make them really bad. So like my theory was that I was like, okay, they're going to make really, really bad movies, and they're going to try and like wash the slate away of your expectations so then they can do whatever they want. I like literally was
that's
like,
the world I want to live in,
They're actually going to try and fuck it up so hard that that people will just be like, whoa, and then they'll turn it into some Mickey Mouse bullshit, and then you'll be like, well, sure. I mean, they ruined the other one, so fine, I guess I'll take this, like, a little bait and switch sort of or something like that. But
I would love for them to sell it to someone else and someone else have a
I'm sure knows? The sad thing is that it's because that's the thing, since they bought the franchise, if anyone ever watches The Phantom Menace, they make money if they stream it or whatever.
It's so
that's the thing is like,
I fucking hate it.
Anything ever bought ever by anything Star Wars now goes to Disney. So thanks, ridiculous. Fucking Disney. Like, can you
fuck you, Disney?
Disappear? No one wants you. But anyways, what do they have? ESPN now too? Don't they own ESPN?
They have so much.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna live in a Disney Amazon world soon, guys. So
yeah,
that's life.
Yeah, but I loved watching them again. We didn't watch we actually were going to. We were going to watch the new ones because
just to compare. Because
there's some reveal that I can't remember.
Oh, she doesn't know.
I don't know. And because so I guess I haven't seen all of them.
But even that was not enough to get us to watch those horrible,
and I kept guessing.
Horrible movies.
I kept guessing.
I was like, no. I was like, you'll never guess it because it's that bad.
Yeah, you'll never guess. It's that off base.
It's that bad.
But no, I think the prequels are my favorite. I know that's crazy. I know that's controversial. But I do love the original three. I mean, they are classics. But like maybe it's just because they came out when I was a kid and I loved them. And I think I've said it on this podcast before, and I've definitely said it to you, but I think Anakin influenced my taste in men a little too much. Not gonna lie. But we've talked about that with the dangerous men thing.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds weird out of context.
I don't know if we should keep talking about this.
I don't want to.
Yeah. You didn't turn your phone off for the podcast? Oh my god.
No, I'm sorry. But all of that to say about the nostalgia thing. But I think they're my favorites. I think there are some things that could have been done better in them, but I think they are a really, really good prequel, and I think it's like impressive because so many sequels and prequels just like aren't that good. Even when they're planned out, they're not that good.
Oh yeah, well that's the thing is that we were watching them and I was like, y'all are fucking tripping. Jar Jar Binks is funny. I don't know why everyone always says that they like hate him or whatever, but
people say that?
Yeah. Oh. There's like, it's a thing, but I mean, again, like who's hating on the prequels now that Rian Johnson made a Star Wars movie and we found out how that turned out?
Yeah.
And like just horrible. So the Phantom Menace might be my favorite, but I think that one's probably my favorite.
I don't know which one that is.
It's episode 1 with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and they find Anakin. The very beginning of the prequels.
Oh, sorry.
The fourth movie made, episode 1.
Got it.
Phantom Menace.
Yeah. Sorry, that is the only part that pisses me off. I'm like, that's confusing.
It's not that confusing.
I like that one. I do think it is a little weird that they Because we found out that Anakin and Padme aren't actually that far apart in age, are they?
I don't know.
But we looked that up because in that first movie, he's so little, that like actor that they picked, and they just kept what's her name as the actress for Padme the whole time.
Yeah.
Which is fine, I guess, but it did kind of throw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
And it made it seem like their age gap was a lot bigger than it actually was. I think they're only like
No way, I just got a text you. Oh, this is my work phone. Hey, not my fault. Work phone. Why are you texting me? Why are you working at 10 o'clock at night?
Bro, we're working at 10 o'clock at night, technically.
This isn't a job yet.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
For now, subscribe to the podcast.
We'll get more into, when we watch Twilight, we'll get more into what I was talking about with the dangerous men thing. I feel like I left them hanging there, and that felt very ominous and weird. It's just the
All women like dangerous men.
Vampires and crazy stuff like that. Like, why do women like them so much, you know?
Women want dangerous men. That's just part of life.
But it's not...
Literally statistically proven.
We'll get into that with Twilight.
Okay.
Because Edward is like the stereotypical, like, he is more dangerous than like any normal man could ever be. He's like, he could literally, well, I guess normal men
like
could
a vampire,
eat you.
right?
Yeah, and he like from the beginning like wants to kill her. It's not even a like, I would kill anyone but you, you know? Sometimes my computer does that too. I don't know why it does that. But it's not even that trope of like, I normally want to kill people, but I don't want to kill you. It's like, no, literally from the get-go, he's like, I need to avoid you because of how bad I want to kill you.
I feel like you're going to be
crazy.
I feel like we're going to be watching the movie and going to be like, look, see it? I'm going to be like, oh, God.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Just the whole time, I'm just going to be like, yeah, girl shit. I don't care.
Well, you got to like play into it a little bit.
I mean, I'll try.
Cause what if we watch John Wick and I'm like, oh, just typical boy shit? That wouldn't be very fun.
For you, but I get to watch John Wick, so that's a win.
I mean, for content. If we're doing this for content.
Are we doing it for content?
What?
Yeah, we're doing it for content.
What?
That's the only reason we're doing
happening? What is going on? Oh, man. What are you?
I don't want to watch Twilight.
Well, maybe I'll watch it with someone else. I don't know. Maybe I'll bring someone else on the podcast.
Fine.
Maybe I'll bring someone else on the podcast. No, it's fine. I'll find someone else.
Who else are you gonna get on the podcast?
I don't know. I'll find someone else. Damn.
I was keeping my Twilight virginity.
Yeah, I was keeping my John Wick one. I don't want to see John Wick.
You've never said that.
I said I would see it because of how much you love it, but I've never had the desire to do that.
To watch John Wick?
Yeah. I'm just like, okay. I mean, it's like with most action movies, I'm kind of like that.
Do you know why he starts killing people?
Yes, they killed his wife, and then the dog that his wife gave him, they killed the dog too. And also it's a beagle, which makes me really sad.
Yeah.
I know enough.
It's pretty sad.
I know enough.
It's really compelling.
You know what else is really compelling?
Don't say Twilight.
A story where this vampire man who hasn't loved in like 100 years somehow finds someone that because he hasn't loved in so long that he doesn't understand that what he's feeling is love. It's not that he wants to kill her.
I feel like you're giving me the whole movie right now.
No, I'm not, because that is an inference that is not given to you in the movie. That's up for interpretation.
I think part of my reservation is that I feel like I'm not gonna just watch a movie. I feel like I'm about to watch girl porn. I feel like I'm about to watch lit erotica on screen, and I'm like, why?
It's not. I wonder what the rating is. It's not that mature.
Rating's X for female sexual. It's a hot porn girl movie. You don't need nudity for it to be porn for girls. Girls read porn.
Emotional.
Girls read porn.
I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm about to watch girl porn. I'm not ready for this. I just want you to watch somebody kill like 100 people.
That you could argue that's boy.
No, that's gun porn. That's different. That's gun porn. That's gunplay. That's
not gunplay.
It's
Gunplay is a
fantastic
different
gunplay. That's what they say.
I'm pretty sure gunplay is also like a sex thing.
Should we look chat? Should we look this up?
Look it up. Look it up. Watch me be wrong and just look like a total freak right now. Okay, no, you gotta look it up in the There's a rapper named Gunplay.
Is Gunplay still married? Definition.
No, look. Okay, you gotta look up. I see that, but you gotta look it up in the context.
Of what?
Like.
What context?
No, like, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm thinking of. There's also.
Okay, gunplay, a noun, means the act of shooting small arms with the intent to scare or kill. Synonyms of gunplay include gunfight, shootout, combat, fighting, scrap.
Okay, look up knife play. Maybe I'm thinking of knife play.
You're thinking of Twilight is what you're thinking of.
Yeah, it's knives. It's not guns.
Okay.
I'm not going to read that aloud.
Yeah, we're not going to read that on the podcast, but because it's way too Twilight for
there was
our general audience, I'm going to use that now. I'm going to be like, yeah, that's too Twilight.
No, I mean, I guess some people could take it like that.
Wasn't 50 Shades of Grey Twilight porn?
Yes.
That fanfic? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's how it made people feel.
Well,
that made a whole person that made 50 Shades of Grey come into reality.
I understand that.
How can you sit here and say that Twilight is not porn?
50 Shades of Grey is a bastardized version of Twilight, and I don't approve of it.
All I'm saying is that is a real thing.
Me who's never seen 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay? We all know about 50 Shades of Grey.
Well,
I'll watch it if you admit that it's girl porn. That's the only way I'll watch it.
Whoa! The manipulation.
I just need you to realize what I'm subjecting myself to over here.
I concur. In ways. But there are also, I think, there are some action scenes and stuff that I think you'll really like. Because it's not just that they're not like Dracula vampires where they're like, oh, I sleep in a coffin and whatever. It's like, they're like super strong, super fast. Like, and there's
muscle rippling men. Sounds like girl porn.
Not a lot of girls like muscles, okay? First off, misconception.
Do they have shirts on while they do that?
Most of the time.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Look up Jacob Black, please.
Nope. Wait,
no, please, please look him up. Look him up, because I was trying to think if they ever take their shirts off, and I was like, the vampires don't, but this guy does. Go to images.
Okay.
Oh, there's fan art. See, so like all the werewolves don't wear clothes for summer. Well, I mean, because they. Damn it! I just ruined a plot point. All right, take it off the screen. Take it off the screen.
This was my plan all along.
Take it off the screen.
Just have you tell me what Twilight is. I don't have to watch it.
Anyways, sure, to an extent, for some girls, yeah. But there's a lot of other stuff about it. And, to be honest, the reason I want you to watch it is because there are a lot of painful moments.
All right,
and
guys,
I think it would be
pray
really
for me. We're gonna do that in between our next episode. Start the Twilight series.
Really?
Should we do? How many of those things are there?
5.
Okay, we're gonna watch the whole Twilight series. That's gonna be one episode.
One episode.
We're gonna torture people for 5 episodes with Twilight.
No, okay. I wanna handle this delicately. All right. I want.
All right, guys. 5 episodes of Twilight coming. Brace yourself.
No, okay. I mainly want you to watch the first one because some would argue that they get worse. The first one is a little cringe, but it's iconic. And it's a part of my life. I wasn't as much of a Twilight girly as a lot of my friends were, but it was pretty big. It was pretty
Okay,
big.
we're gonna watch one Twilight movie, guys. Stay tuned.
Also, they don't actually get like, you know.
Don't tell me anything. You're ruining it.
No, but they
Don't tell
don't.
me
They don't like
anything.
actually do anything until like the last movie because he's too dangerous. He could hurt her.
You ruined it. No, I don't.
No, you know that.
Stop telling me. I didn't know anything.
No,
I had shielded myself from everything Twilight. I didn't even know they ever kissed or anything. I don't know. I don't know anything about Twilight. I made it that way. I built my life around this. I wanted to never.
Oh my god!
I wanted to die and go to heaven and be like, Jesus, I did it. I did the great work. I
how you get into
avoided
heaven.
Twilight for my whole life.
Getting into heaven is just avoiding Twilight. If you avoided Twilight your whole life, you go to heaven.
Just takes me into the VIP, like one of the few. And now you're taking that away from me.
No, if it's gonna be really that emotionally distressing and disturbing for you, we don't have to.
I mean,
I don't know
I
if-
already agreed to watching it. I just want you to know I'm not happy about it. Well, look, I already agreed to it. Okay, I'm not. It's fine. I can make peace with this. But I just remember when they were coming out, just all I could hear was Twilight, 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 Edward. Bleh.
Yeah,
Fucking kill me. Holy shit. What the hell are these movies, dude?
I feel like there were a lot of people that were really crushing on either one of them, and even at the time I didn't really get it. Then again, I wasn't really like a One Direction girly either. Any of the typical fandoms of that time, I just didn't really get it.
That time? Holy, no, that was like a decade later. One Direction came out.
It was like 4 years later.
Okay. I didn't follow One Direction either, so I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like I don't know. There were a lot of like boys that people were like, "Oh my god," and I just like didn't. I don't know. I didn't.
Okay,
I
I
didn't
think
get
we've
it.
talked about boys too much on this podcast, all right?
I wanted an Anakin.
We've talked way too many. We've talked about too many boys. I don't like where this is going, all right? We're going to end the podcast here. We're going to think about whether or not we watch Twilight, and we'll see you next time.
Sounds good. I'm sorry I talked about boys so much.
All right, well, I get to
You're
talk
the
about
only-
girls next podcast.
You're the only
okay?
boy I love.
How about I get to talk about girls
You're the only
next
boy I'm
podcast,
gonna
then?
marry.
Sure, but I wanna
What
talk about
girls? What girls are you gonna talk
Stay
about?
tuned for
No!
next podcast so we can talk about girls. Outro.
Outro.